What on earth happened there, guys? I think you're all still on the other live. Someone tells someone else on the other live to come back over here. It's part 2, coffee moaning, part 2. Morning, user 1. I'm just saying to you all, started another live. YouTube has been playing up recently. YouTube, oh, here you go. Faith Goodman, Gabrielle. Yeah, YouTube has been really acting up the last couple of days. Not just us. I've been trying on other channels, and it's quite easy to lose, to lose detail or whatever you call it. So I'm afraid that live will probably sit there for yonks now, trying to establish itself. So we are now on. Let me see if I can get this up. We are back. Hopefully you've headed over. Hopefully you've realised that it's gone funny. It might go funny again. I don't know. Where were we? Yes, we were talking about the good old nostalgia days. Games from the 70s and 80s. Oh, so much fun. So lovely. I mean, I remember as a boy, you know, it would be a case of you'd sit and you'd have so much time, wouldn't you? You didn't have television all the time. You didn't have phones. Chemistry sets. I remember having a chemistry set. I remember wearing a stupid kind of helmet, a sort of motorcycle pretend cop's helmet, pretend that it was much more dangerous than it was. And and those hours and hours of play on my own. I mean, obviously I didn't have brothers and sisters, but also, you know, occasionally with friends. And it was just so much fun. I used to collect football stickers. Pokemon was a bit after my time. Comics. I mean, all the things that one still likes as an adult. This stuff was comforting, and I'm sure some of the modern day toys are going to be the same. But you never see adverts for quite the same sorts of things, do you? I mean, or is that just willful? I mean, are there kids running around now with certain things that they want in another 10, 15 years? They're going to go, oh yeah, look at this, you know, Toy Stories and all that kind of Toy Story action figures and all that kind of stuff. I never had any Star Wars action figures when I was a kid. I had one Stormtrooper with a broken arm. Swing ball, Cabbage Patch dolls. My first girlfriend loved Care Bears. Do you remember them? And My Little Pony, little and lonely, and all that sort of stuff. But we were also going to talk about favourite kids shows, weren't we? What were your favourite kids shows when you were a kid? Do you remember things like Jack and Ori and Play School? I was after things like Andy Pandy, but do you remember Bagpuss? I remember lunchtime with my grandfather. He'd be fast asleep, and I'd be what was that thing with Hartley Hare? Does anyone ever remember Hartley? Mr. Ben, Claire Ross Reed, Mr. Ben, and he would just sort of go into the changing room and he'd just take his top hat off and he'd become something else, and it was so exciting. Where was he going to be today? What was he going to be today? Hartley Hare. What was Hartley Hare? Bagpuss was good. Magic Roundabout. The Wombles. Does anyone ever remember that strange program called Ludwig? And it was like a musical egg. What the hell was that? I'm telling you right now, for sure, that a lot of the producers that made a lot of these shows, I think, had taken all sorts of hallucinogenics. Pipkins, Judith. Pipkins. Pipkins, that was it. Thomas the Tank Engine, my granddad loved. But I tell you what my granddad's favourite was, which we then always had to watch. Ivor the Engine. He liked Ivor the Engine. I found it so boring. And he liked, what was the other one? Paddington Bear. I wasn't a big fan of Paddington Bear because I associated it with the boredom of Ivor the Engine. Magic Roundabout. These children programs makers were off their hats. Top Cats, The Littlest Hobo, there was Ludwig, there was Ivor the Engine. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones I used to love as a kid. Dungeons and Dragons, do you remember when that came out? I was sort of more like 13, 14 then. That was so cool, but what was limiting with it was I was a big Dungeons and Dragons fan. But the cartoons kind of, they controlled the imagination in not quite the right way. Do you remember the original series, the TV series of Batman? And they used to do those shots where they'd be climbing up the wall. They'd be climbing up the wall, and they'd simply turn the shot on its side, and they'd be... Will-O-the-Wisp with Kenneth Williams, wasn't it, doing the voiceover? Grange Hill. It was so funny, Grange Hill, right? Because I'd watch Grange Hill at my nan's, and my nan would go nuts, Nanny Thelma, because she'd be like, oh, they're talking kind of Cockney, and it was also kind of argy-bargy. And I was like, God, you've got no idea. This is nothing like... Claire Ross Reed, Rent a Ghost. Rent a Ghost. What was that? Wurzel Gummidge. What was the name of the funny little... in Rent a Ghost, the guy with the moustache? Captain Caveman. What was that one with the dastardly duo and the guy, the Wacky Races, was it? Was it Wacky Races, the one where they'd be driving everywhere? And every episode was just them. The Pink Panther. How did the music go to the Pink Panther? I used to love the Pink Panther. Yeah, the Pink Panther. And that used to be on, coupled with something else. They'd have two cartoons on. It'd be Pink Panther, something else. And when it was on, literally my life was so excited by it on a Saturday afternoon or whenever it was. The Moomins, Ava Greenall. Hickory House, Judith. Wacky Races, it was, wasn't it? Wacky Races. David Jason's Count Duckula. What about Danger Mouse? Danger Mouse. Magpie. They were all a bunch of hippies, weren't they? Magpie, Rainbow, with Dougal. Is it Dougal? Zippy. And they'd zip Zippy up. I always found that quite aggressive. He'd want to talk and they'd zip him up. I always thought, that's not very nice. And there was the guy, wasn't it? The main guy was always wearing dungarees. Play Away. Do you remember Play Away? Jamie and his Jamie and his magic touch. Morph. I'm saying things now, aren't I? Finger Mouse. God, how simple things were. I was never a big fan of Blue Peter, Susan Wilson. I always found them a bit boring. I must admit, I preferred the whacked out stuff like Magpie and... Do you remember Jack and Ori? But Jack and Ori, I kind of even preferred Play School to Blue Peter. And Blue Peter was always on, it was always the last thing on, wasn't it? In the children's, whatever it was, hour and a half on telly. And I always felt with Blue Peter, we were being asked to grow up in preparation for the news. Did anyone else get that? Blue Peter was too sensible, Wonder Woman. It was the arc, wasn't it? From childhood innocence and stupidity to having to plug into a real world. I didn't like that. Banana Man. Apparently Banana Man's coming back. Banana Man, Take Heart. Oh yeah, Take Heart. That was sweet. I think I sent something into that and it never got on. Kind of dented my belief in the arts for quite a while. Mr. Ben, Smart, the art show, Thunderbirds, Swap Shop. Now, Saturday morning television was a completely different kettle of fish, wasn't it? So you had Swap Shop and you had Tiswas. And I really dovetailed between the two. I flipped and flopped and flimmed and flammed. Some days I really wanted Swap Shop with its steady certainty and Keith Chegwin doing the swaps. But then I sometimes wanted the carnage and chaos of Tiswas. Captain Pugwash. Do you remember Captain Pugwash? Yeah. And then do you remember Channel 4 right at the beginning? Was it number 79? And I think Sally Toxvig was the presenter. And there was another woman on roller skates. And that woman on roller skates is now one of the UK's leading British filmmakers. I've forgotten her name temporarily. The Worst Witch, The Fonz, Super Ted, Tiswas. Number 73, Andrea Jenner. I used to be an enormous fan of Press Gang, of course. That kind of came when I was about 15, 16. The Goodies, that was kind of more an evening show, wasn't it? But do you remember the opening? I remember the opening titles to The Goodies. That was so good. So good. Whack-a-day. Does anyone else remember on BBC? I think it might have been on BBC Two. Run Around. And wasn't there Cheggers something or other? There was Run Around with Mike, whatever his name was, who used to be in EastEnders. And then there was Keith Cheggers Plays Pop. Cheggers Plays Pop. Cheggers Plays Pop. That was good. I like that. Cheggers Plays Pop. Oh, I always had a soft spot for Keith Chegwin. Kickstop, Crackerjack. Crackerjack was good. Mike Reed, that was it. Run Around. God, that was so nuts, wasn't it? His voice was insane. Rhubarb. Rhubarb and custard. Actually, my granddad liked rhubarb. And that wasn't that Richard Briers who did the voiceover for rhubarb? I think it was. Metal Mickey. That was on a Saturday afternoon, I seem to remember. Tintin, Crystal Tips and Alistair. Tony Hart. Yeah, it was good. Well, there you go, guys. We got cut off on our other live, but I thought I'd come back and we'd complete our... I'm going to call this Coffee Moaning Part 2, Children's TV Nostalgia Fest. Yeah? Guys, look, lots of love. A vlog will be landing later. A members live will be happening, I think, tonight for sure. And hopefully Nanny Di will be there for that. You can ask us some questions. And you have a lovely, lovely Friday. The sun is out. If you can get out, if you're working from home or doing whatever, try and get out. Make sure you get the sun on your face, vitamin D, all that sort of stuff. I was watching earlier today. A little blue tit was trying to get in through the window over there, bless it, and I had to go out and help it because it was going to concuss itself. It was smashing its head so much. Keep your Camberwick green. Keep your remembrances and memories of kids' shows coming through. And we'll do another little catch-up and we'll find out what Nadia's were. Trumpton. That was so good. Guys, have a lovely, lovely, lovely day. And we'll obviously see you later tonight. Family guests. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs up. If you want to hear the news, head over to part 1 of this morning's Coffee Moaning. And I'll tell you, we'll leave you with this one story. I remember getting a train out to Grange Hill on the Central Line with my friend Edwin Selby because I wanted to go and find the real school called Grange Hill, and there's a stop on the Central Line called Grange Hill. We got all the way there, and this was like, must have been about 1978, cost us about 6 pence. I remember the yellow ticket on the tube, and we got out and we said to the ticket inspector, "Where's the school?" And he said, "There isn't one." That's it. It was such a long journey, full of excitement and the belief that we were going to meet Tucker Jenkins and all that lot, and it just didn't happen. Anyway, have a lovely day, guys. Have a lovely day, guys, and I'll see you later. Okay, bye.